Optic glass.
Woo! Hey gang, welcome back to another Death Curse Society. I'm your host, Red Crank. I got the Colonel, and I got Zigzag. Woo!
What?
We got all kinds of stuff to talk about during the show today. Later on in the show, we're going to review The Grudge and Apparition. We're also going to look at the trailers, new trailers for The New Mutants, The Quiet Place 2, Gretel and Hansel, Camp Coldbrook. We're also going to talk a little bit about Blumhouse wants to reboot Firestarter. Of course they do. Colonel has a lot to say about that, I'm sure. And Child's Play, Chucky is coming to TV. It's officially official. Fuck yes. But before we get to any of that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And let's go camping.
You're going to Camp Blood, ain't you? You'll never come back again. It's got a death curse.
For Let's Go Camping this time around, we're going to talk about the new show on Netflix, Dracula, from the BBC. We got some things to get into here because it's different. I'm going to throw it to Zigzag first because I think he was the biggest fan of it so far.
Absolutely. Finally, a piece of work that lives up to the hype. Holy shit. Did I enjoy this? This is like modern Hammer film telling. It's great. It does get a little wonky in the third episode, but you know what? I think Bram Stoker would be okay with this interpretation of his work. For me, it was like the first episode kind of followed almost like the movie they had back a few years ago, you know, with Keanu Reeves and Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder and all that shit. Pretty cool. It was good. There is a bit of a twist with some of the material, but you know what? Everyone's taking liberties with the shit these days, and these are kind of entertaining the way they did it in this particular piece. Episode 1 mostly focuses on the story of Jonathan. He's back at a convent, and he's giving his accounts of what happened to him in Count Dracula's castle. So here's two nuns going to interview Jonathan, you know, and Jonathan looks like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia on steroids.
I'm an excellent lawyer.
He looks bad, man. He's got shit falling off of him. There's holes in his head and shit. He looks awful. He doesn't look good. And this snarky-ass nun who you don't kind of like at first, she's giving him the hard questions like, you know, so have you had sexual contact with Count Dracula? What's going on here? And we come to find out she's not really a nun. She is, but she has no faith. It's not in God or anything. She's trying to figure out this vampire curse, and she's tracked this guy down to figure out his connection to Dracula and then overall how to stop him.
But who is she?
But who is she? Well, we don't know till later in the episode. Dracula actually storms the convent. So we have a huge disturbance outside the convent. There's bats everywhere. This giant wolf is at the gates howling. Well, this nun walks right up to the gate. No problem. Calls him out. Says, Dracula, you're safe. It's nighttime. Come on out. He does. He pulls himself out of this fucking wolf's mouth. Pretty sick. It's awesome.
Yeah.
The bats fly away. And as we know, no invitation, no entree to the convent. All the nuns are standing there armed with big-ass stakes ready to stick this motherfucker if he tries to come in. And then we figure out she proves that he's a vampire by cutting herself, this nun, this snarky nun that you don't really like. But there's something about her. I just don't know what it is. What is it, Colonel? What is this? Anyways, she throws the blood. Dracula dives down, laps it up like a dog. And she marches back in saying, there'll be no entry today. Be on your way. And he starts going, Agatha. He got the name. And he keeps tasting the blood. He tastes it. And he calls her out to her true name, Agatha Van Helsing. Very cool, if not predictable, but still cool. So we go back to Jonathan's room. The interview continues, and we learn the other nun that's sitting next to Van Helsing is actually Jonathan's wife, whom he adored. That's all he wanted, was to get back to his wife. And Dracula was slowly draining him. And how did he escape anyway? Well, we come to find out he did not. Mm-hmm. Dracula killed him. He comes back as one of the undead. He returns. He's let go so Dracula can track him back. This is how we end up in the predicament we're at. Dracula's storming the castle outside. No invitation yet. The nuns take to the front. And Dracula starts talking to Jonathan about ending his pain. All he has to do is invite him in. We are then treated to a nice mass with the nuns. And as Mother Superior is finishing her prayers, off comes her head. with a very cool line. I have to give it to you. Dracula says, she was clearing her throat. And then he takes a nice look into the head and goes, all clear. It's fucking hilarious, man. It's really good. So now we're left with a huge massacre in the convent, and Dracula's going to proceed to London. And at this point, I'm going to throw it to the Colonel because I don't know what the hell's going on, man. Episode 1 was great. It was a great start, and it left me totally... I was ready to watch episode 2 right there. Mind you, these are hour-and-a-half long episodes, so, I mean, it ain't like it's just a half hour. Colonel, episode 2, baby.
Woo! Episode 2, so good. You got me to go woo instead of what? Episode 2 by far was my favorite episode of the season. It was fucking fantastic. It kind of starts off, you got Agatha and Dracula kind of playing a game of chess and just conversating. We're on the boat where Dracula plays the greatest fucking social experiment ever. Pretty much you got all these different people on the boat. Dracula's on the boat going to England. One thing they tell you at the very beginning, do not disturb door number 9. We'll get back to that later. Because you guys know in the past, what have we seen about the boat trip to England? It's a storm. It comes to harbor. Everybody's dead. What happened? What I love about this Dracula is, like I said, it's a social experiment. He's in there playing mind games with these people. He's trying to learn how to live in a modern society, not be so animalistic, for lack of a better term. And you have a fantastic group of people. You got a duchess. You got a rich married couple along with their servant. You got a doctor and his deaf daughter. You got the crew. Right now, let's talk about the duchess. She's some old woman. Again, mind games. Dracula gets in her head. She's young and beautiful again. They're dancing. Oh, you died, bitch. You're gone. Everybody in the crew, where's the Duchess? I don't know. What's going on here? Young wife. Boop, gone. She dead. Where's my wife? It just goes on like this. And Dracula, he's out there with them during the day because, Dracula's using the power of evil to have fog surround the boat during its whole trip. So, a few more passengers goes by. Really, the only person on the boat that knows what's going on is the deaf daughter. But guess what? She can't say shit. And she's terrified of him. And Dracula's right there along playing the game with them. Well, let's search here. Let's search here. So where else can they look? They've already looked everywhere. But door number 9. They open the door. Well, Dracula's feeding on Agatha. He comes out. Hey, I had to take care of this myself. I found our killer. Look at her. She's covered in blood. So they pull Agatha out of door number 9. She's about to get hung. She's like, you can't do this. I'm a vampire. I won't die. And she's pretty much playing the game that Dracula wants her to play with all these people that he's been playing. But she calls him out. And how she called him out? Dracula, being the smug, arrogant prick that I so love in this fucking series, puts his foot up against the barrel. She's not about to kick it out. And Van Helsing, being smart as shit because she is a Van Helsing, lets a little drip of blood fall from her mouth and hit his shoe. And his eyes go all Christopher Lee red, fangs start growing. They're like, they realize, okay, Dracula is the vampire. He just kind of vanishes. So they're talking to Agatha, hey, what we need to do? She's like, get your stuff. We all need to stay together. Because we're back in the room with the doctor, his deaf daughter, the widowed husband that honestly cared more about his servant. And then I'm kind of caring a little bit more about Dracula.
They don't call him the D for nothing.
That's right, because I tell you what, he doesn't own a Captain D's restaurant franchise. Daughter, I guess, drinks arsenic, kills herself. The doctor gets killed by the dude who wants to hook up with Dracula. Dracula's like, oh, great. You're thinking Dracula's going to make this guy a vampire. Nah, motherfucker, fuck you. You're dead. We're pretty much just left to the crew and Agatha and the servant. Like I said, Agatha's smart. She knows what's going on. She's like, hey, if you have a Bible, bring it out here. And they make a circle that they all stay in with the Bible pages because, it's religious. Dracula don't want none of that. Dracula starts playing his mind games with the servant because the servant doesn't believe in any of this shit. Oh, there's no such thing, this and that. He killed the love of my life. Dracula calls him out, finishes him just like that. For whatever reason, all right, fuck it. Attack! Like, it was like literally Leroy Jenkins.
Oh, it's a lot better than we usually do.
All right, chums up.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
Save him! Oh, geez, stick to the planes!
They just started fucking jumping on Dracula, knocked him down, spilled over the rum. They stick his cloak down to the fucking deck of the boat. They catch him on fire. He bursts a flame off the side of the boat. Dracula's gone. Well, Dracula came back because they couldn't find where he was sleeping. Where is he sleeping? He was sleeping in his bed, just underneath the mattress in the dirt like Dracula's supposed to do. Boat blows up. Van Helsing dies. Spoiler alert. She dead. She gone. Goodbye. Dracula gets back in his box. He's sinking. He bursts through, comes on shore. Look, you see the cliffs, the famous cliffs of England? Then, boom, he gets hit the spotlight. All these cop cars and shit start pulling up, and that's where the episode ends. That's where you're like, what? Like, literally, what the fuck? Van Helsing dies, and next thing you know, he's in the future. It was 1897, fucking 20 seconds ago. What the fuck?
Like you just said, what the fuck? That was the exact text that I sent to Zag after I saw episode 2.
Ah. Yes. I'll tell you, man, it was a pretty shocking thing and a nice nod to Interview with a Vampire, I thought. Spotlight from the helicopter, but we're going to let Crank get into episode 3, but man, we must stop and give a little praise to Claes Bang's portrayal of Dracula. Holy shit, man. He actually channels Christopher Lee at times. Everything is tributed perfect. And his attitude and just delight with being 400 or 500 years old, it's outstanding. This guy deserves some kind of fucking award. Whatever they give away for TV acting, give it to him, all right? For fuck's sake.
Episode 3 picks up in basically current times, which was a big switch. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know what the fuck they were going after the boat, but it wasn't bad. A lot of people have ridden episode 3 really hard, and it's definitely the weakest of the series. I think a lot of that is because the actress that plays Lucy, it relies a lot on her, and I didn't buy it. She was the weakest part of it, in my opinion. Dracula is back in 2020 England. He is captured, in essence, and taken to a facility for, basically he's a lab rat, and he's taken in and subjected to all these experiments and imprisoned, basically. The biggest twist of the entire series comes here, in my opinion, I think, besides the Agatha Van Helsing thing. There's 2 twists here, actually. There's a continuation of the Van Helsing lineage that comes back and is basically played by the same actress, Dolly Wells, who is by far also as fantastic as Claes Bang as Dracula. We'll get into that here in a moment, but hell yeah, Dolly Wells. This ancestor is one of the head research assistants that's leading the capture of Dracula. While Dracula is in captivity, the other twist that I really liked about this one, they give him an iPad, basically, to toy with while he's in there. He hacks the password for the Wi-Fi and Skypes an attorney. First off, there's a great moment there where they're talking about who gave him the password, and he's like, well, it is my name. And they're like, well, fuck, why would we have a password that easy at this point in time? It's a head-scratching moment, for sure. But then the attorney is Renfield. And I had been waiting 2 episodes to see a Renfield-style character. For a little bit, I thought Jonathan was going to kind of also become Renfield, just the way he looked and the way they were kind of teasing him in episode 1 didn't end up being. Renfield shows up as an attorney and represents him and is just, again, I don't know who this guy is, but a great representation of Renfield. I thought it was just great, wonderful, funny, fitting for the moment and everything. It just worked. While all this is going on, there's this, what would you call her? Whore, Lucy, that's out in England just partying it up. When Dracula finally gets released from this facility, due to Renfield's work, he ends up meeting up with this Lucy and uses her as like a feeding vessel because she's the best tasting thing he's had in a while. All the while that Dracula has been being researched on, and now that he's escaped and he's found who he hopes to turn into one of his new brides, Lucy, Dr. Helsing, the descendant of Agatha Van Helsing, she's sick. She has cancer. She's dying, basically. She takes one of his blood samples and drinks it to prolong her life at one point. So keep that in mind for later. Also, Lucy ends up dying, and rather than having just a basic funeral, she is cremated, which ruins her corpse and ruins her body for future use for Dracula. There's a final confrontation near the end where Dracula, Dr. Helsing, Lucy, and then one of Lucy's boy toys, whatever, this guy that she's been stringing along for years, it seems like, that's just head over heels in love with her. He does a selfless act to let her know she is loved, but she is not who she used to be. During this confrontation, Dr. Helsing finally figures it out, and she actually starts channeling Agatha in a weird way. It's like Agatha comes back and almost takes over Dr. Helsing's body for the entire last 15 minutes of the episode. She figures out that, you know what, all these rules that Dracula has lived by for hundreds of years aren't necessarily rules. They're almost things that he's just convinced himself he believes. She rips open a window, exposes sunlight on him, and he's fine. It doesn't do anything to him. He freaks out for a little while, and he's like,
Nothing.
oh, I'm good. So he figures out that all that is just bullshit. Then, in a strange, weird ending, Dracula feeds on Dr. Helsing, who he knows is sick. And he does know that tainted blood, sick blood, will kill him. Because one of the themes of the entire series is blood is lives. Not blood is life, blood is lives. You're taking in that person's life. You're taking in their essence. You get their memories. You get their abilities. If they speak a different language, you learn that language instantly by taking their blood in, which I thought was a nice touch. But blood is lives, and he takes Dr. Helsing's blood, and they, in a sort of romantic twist at the end, they die together, it seems like, which is right where you want Dracula to end, I think. But anyway, the rules are broken. And that's one of the things that we're going to get into real quick now, because they broke a lot of rules. And you know what? That's okay. The weird thing is I'm kind of a purist when it comes to anything old school, Dracula, whatever, but I didn't mind the rules that they changed and the rules that they broke in this version. I can't explain it. Colonel, you want to jump in, talk about some of the rules they broke?
No, we went through a whole fucking series to find out that these myths aren't true. And it was perfect. I really liked most about the myth about the cross. Was when they're on the boat, they're like, you fear this? And Dracula's like, yeah, I fear it because, Christianity is responsible for so many deaths and so much. It just talking bad of religion. Of course I'm going to be scared of it. It's a terrifying thing. When in fact, that was kind of his way of being, I'm scared to die. And the people of his time, that's what everybody followed in Europe. It's just the truth. So of course he's going to be scared of that because he can see the cross is equaling death. And it's a pretty cool way how they explain some of these throughout the series. I don't want to take them all, but that's the one I enjoy the most hearing about was the cross.
That's just it. I mean, it was the way they explained them was what really made it valid to me, And I'm like, wow, okay, I like that. And that's slick, cool, clever, whatever you wanted to call it. I bought it. I'll take the mirror one. A vampire's not supposed to see his reflections in a mirror. And he's like, not true. Because a vampire sees exactly what he is, which was a 500-year-old man at the time when he looked into a mirror. Yeah, long hair. I mean, Gary Oldman back in 92. That's what we're talking. That's what he fucking looked like. And he didn't want to see that. So he smashes the mirrors, He just avoids the mirrors. It's not that he can't see himself, doesn't want to.
The whole sunlight thing was a neat way to end it, by exposing that as a myth. I thought that was kind of interesting. There is this weird imagery they throw at the end where it looks like Dr. Helsing or Agatha Van Helsing and Count Dracula are making love inside the sun in a weird way. I don't know. But these two characters are tied together throughout literature and history, basically. So why not, I guess.
Yeah, it might have been a little weird if they went ahead and did it Van Helsing as a man again. That might not have worked as good, I think. Another thing I did dig is when he did get into the modern times, he was watching a TV of the sunrise and was like, oh, this is beautiful. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Take advantage of the technology. Hey, that's a technicality, man.
I also like how he arrives at just some random house and it's kind of a dump to our standards, but to him, it's like, better than a fucking castle. Okay? He's just like, you own all this stuff? When he says stuff, he means just like things that we take for granted, whatever it might be. He loved it.
Everything, like I said, the way he was just tickled by the most simple things and all of it. His experience being that old and everything, he was amused by how people reacted and everything, So I liked it, man. I really, really, really liked this a lot. I'm sad that there was only 3 episodes, but satisfied that they were an hour and a half or more long. So, hey, man, great job. If you want to do more stuff like this, I haven't seen the Sherlock. The same team did Sherlock Holmes recently too, And this I haven't seen, but I am definitely looking forward to checking that out now if it's in the same cool vein as Dracula was.
Now, we already talked a little bit about some of the differences from the original lore and other movies and other versions of Dracula. Let's talk a little bit about at least one. They really, really focused on the sexuality of Dracula in this, more than they have in my knowledge at least, any other version. They started off the entire series asking the question to Jonathan Harker, did you have sexual contact with Dracula? Just the fact that they threw it in your face like that right out of the gate was like, all right, we're going down that road. Colonel, you want to talk about that a little bit?
In the novel, Dracula is a very sexual being. I mean, you got the metaphors of the penetrating the neck and the blood for life. But you're right. We haven't seen it in a whole lot of movies other than I can think of, like I said, the Bram Stoker's Dracula came out in 92. I mean, come on, where Dracula's plowing fucking Lucy as a fucking werewolf. I mean, he was a very sexual creature, but let's be honest. 1930 Hollywood was not going to have Dracula being too sexual. I know in The Daughter of Dracula, there was a lesbian scene, I guess you would say, for back then. She wanted to feed on a female. But that's it. They wouldn't do it. They couldn't. Oh, that's immoral, blah, 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 which is why, being the purists we are, we kind of, well, need to be in there when, honestly, he's sexual as fuck. I mean, Dracula fucking get booty. He don't care from who or what. He can get fucking booty.
They really kind of pushed his bisexual part a lot more. Yes, he's always been a sexual being. We know that, and they played that up in other movies. But this one, they kind of pushed that he doesn't just go for the Lucys and the Minas and in the world. He also goes for the Jonathan too. If you know what I'm nudge. Yeah, but you know what I mean?
Why wouldn't he? He's eternal, and I really hope people don't have a problem with it because he don't care.
Now, I'm not saying I have a problem with it or anyone should have a problem with it.
We're not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
I mean, it's fine if that's who you are.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have many gay friends.
My father's gay.
This is the first time they've really kind of pushed that agenda a little bit in a Dracula form, at least a mainstream Dracula form.
It was just like the perpetual charm, you know what I mean? He had, like, that's always been a power of his, but they never said, oh, I didn't know what I was out of my mind. I just, he sucked me in, like they mentioned it like kind of cheesily in all the other incantations of Dracula. This one, it was just there, but it was so fucking prominent you couldn't miss it. He was charming people left and fucking right.
Right. Well, and they alluded to it. Even the book alludes to it a little bit, but it does it in such a subtle way that if you just skim through the novel, you're like, yeah, all right. If you go back and read it again, like, I get it now. Keep in mind, at the time, in the early 1800s, Bram Stoker was of questionable sexuality anyway. One of his really good friends, Oscar Wilde, was being indicted and accused of sodomy around the same time that Bram Stoker started writing this book. So they're good friends. Who knows what the hell kind of parties, like, they probably had like Jeffrey Epstein-style parties back in the day in late 1700s,
I think it was on for anybody and anyone.
Yeah, but you don't talk about it. You don't talk about it openly back then. You barely talk about it openly now, which is kind of a weird thing. And then this show is just like, oh, by the way, we have your main course right here. Gay, but it works, and it's so fun. Another thing I liked about this series, they didn't lay off on the gore and the blood. They brought it a little bit more than I expected. I love the fact that in episode 1 especially, you see Dracula de-age. I mean, when he first appears, he's old, he's withered, he's got long hair. Shit, I just described myself. But then he starts to de-age, and the makeup that they go through was very good, I thought. And then the gore comes in. I'll let our gore hound expert, Mr. Zigzag, tackle this area, because I thought it was great.
Yeah, man. It's a Dracula story, so you know what? If you want to be a successful Dracula story, you got to bring the blood. You got to bring the blood and the violence, and they did in spades here. The beheading in episode 1 was excellent. The joke that went along with it, I was laughing out loud there. People are looking at me like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, I mean, anytime It was their good stakings, you know. I mean, a couple of murders on the side that had nothing to do with the vampires. Everything looked great. Anytime somebody was dead or dying or turning, they looked super creepy. I mean, the eyes went white and everything. Super pale, like zombies almost, but in a good way. Everything was super creepy. The atmosphere is huge in this whole series, especially on that creaky-ass ship, that clipper ship. Holy shit. It doesn't stop rocking and creaking the entire time. It's almost like a nice hypnotic soundtrack during the whole episode. I mean, it's madness. But brilliant at the same time. They obviously did their research, they did their work, and a pro team got on this all the way. So anything this team makes, I could pretty much safely say I'll back it. I'll give it a watch, especially if they're going to go into the horror realm. This was good shit, man.
Colonel, how about the wolf transition in episode 1? What did you think of that?
It was great. I have no complaints about this show at all. About set pieces were amazing. The costumes were amazing. The makeup was amazing. The CGI was amazing. The special effects are amazing. Like, the wolf transition was cool, but what I liked the most out of this show, and this goes back to the gore, because I'm a gore whore myself, was that every time Dracula fed on somebody, I don't know if you guys noticed, it was almost like he regurgitated.
Yeah.
Like he'd feed, and then it just come pouring out again. It was fucking phenomenal, man. Like, I had no complaints. Better than anything fucking's been on American TV in the past fucking 5-6 years.
This is a small thing, but I also like the fact that the scars that he left on people weren't fang marks. Almost 100 fucking years in film, it's just been fang marks. This was just almost a slice, like he gashed open like he just gnawed into their throat and then like tucked it back in and was like, all right, give it a little rub and it's healed, you know, however he does it. But it's a small thing. It doesn't really mean that much, but I appreciated it.
Those wankers actually delivered something that wasn't all stuffy and uptight. It was actually fresh and slick and smart. I enjoyed the hell out of it, man.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the twists. Did you guys know Sister Agatha was Van Helsing at the start?
Started suspecting it right away after the first, like pretty much probably with that question. The way she was so snarky, I was like, and then when she said, I'm not really, a believer in the faith and stuff, I was like, okay, what's
that's when you got it.
Is that what they did here? Is this Helsing? She was just too peppy, you know what I mean, for being a nun.
As far as like the Van Helsing thing, I had my suspicions. So, first, when the way she's acting, I'm looking, maybe she works for Van Helsing or something, like, here's a Dracula attack, like they were searching for him. That's what I was thinking. So I was like, I know there might have been a connection, but I didn't pick up on it right away.
Yeah.
I was with a room full of people, man. And I said, man, that's Van Helsing. And then when it happened, they were like, you've seen this before or something. I was like, this came out today. What are you talking about?
Did you know it was Mina sitting next to her during the entire interrogation?
No.
That blew me away.
Yeah.
As soon as she started talking near the end of the episode, she started talking about, you wouldn't even recognize your beloved Mina if she was sitting right next to you. Oh, by the way, motherfucker, she is. I just thought that was great. Basically, it was just a good little fuck you from the sister to him. It was
more smart writing, More smart.
Episode 2. Did you know who was in room 9?
No. I thought that was going to be where, the box was or something, or a coffin, just be all up on. But, they didn't show what happened to them in episode 1, Agatha, and Mina. So, it was like they went back and visited again. You're like, okay. And she offered her neck instead.
Colonel?
No. Honestly, when they first mentioned it, I thought maybe I'm with Zach. That's kind of where Dracula was sleeping, where he, sleep during the day. I didn't think Van Helsing would be in there.
Did you guys mind the time jump at all? Because I really didn't. I thought it worked, Colonel.
Surprisingly, no. I said it was definitely the most what the fuck moment in the entire series. And I was good with it. Like
I said, I was a little worried about it at the end of episode 2. Once I got into episode 3 and I started realizing where they were going, I was perfectly okay with it. Ziggy.
No, I didn't mind it at all. In fact, I was really digging the way he was so tickled by looking at the modern shit, where Lestat was afraid of everything. He was like, how does this work? I need to get it. Let me check that out. Whoa, what's this here? You got this, a gun, a camera. Here's a camera. How do you know about a camera? He's like, oh, please, come on now. Was into it all, man, and that made it that much more entertaining, that he was so tickled with it, like a child on Christmas.
Well, and the fact that I love the fact that he figured out how to Skype. There's no telling how long he was in captivity in this facility. They don't really go into that very much, but it could have been days, it could have been weeks, could have been months. I thought it was very well written with a modern touch, And for today's audience, I thought it was great.
Yeah, the modern touch I really liked was in his prison cell when he had a fucking toilet. He's looking at it, like, why do I have a toilet? Like, I'm a vampire. Why is this here? Like,
what am I going to do with this? All right, final score, guys. What do we think? Let's go with Ziggy first.
Well, like I said, I overhyped this when I saw the original trailer. I feel like I was delivered the goods. Netflix, good pickup. BBC, great job. You get a 9 from Zigzag on this for this whole series.
Woo! Damn. I think that's one of your highest ratings that I've ever
Probably is. For TV, absolutely.
Oh, definitely for TV. Colonel.
much like Zag, I was super pumped when we saw the original trailer. You know, the classic spin on Dracula, they're not going to modernize it at all. Not the classic spin on Dracula. They did modernize it in episode 3. I know a lot of people shit on that episode, but I thought it was fucking fantastic. Well, it was the slowest paced episode of the series. Overall, phenomenal. Met every expectation I had, and then some. I'm going to give it a 9.
The fuck?
It was fucking great. I mean, I have no complaints.
Entertained.
The overall question is, are you entertained? I was. Let us know what you thought about Dracula in the comments, and let us know on social media as well. I'm not going to necessarily give it as high a ranking as these guys, but I'm gonna stick it with a solid 8 because I thought it was just overall a great telling, a new look at Dracula. Kind of like Colonel just said, when the trailer was first exposed, it seemed like it was going to be a classic retelling, but it wasn't. It kept some of the classic elements and then did a brilliant job with the way they presented it and the way they moved the story forward. The writing is great. There's humor in there that shouldn't be there. Zag mentioned, looking into her throat. Oh, she was clearing her throat. Oh, it's all good now. And then tossing her head aside. It was, that's great. The fact that he figured out the Wi-Fi password, that shit like that just blew my mind, that they were able to interject these little bits of humor throughout the show. Check it out, guys. Dracula is on Netflix right now from the BBC. I don't see them doing another season of this, but hopefully they do something. This team was solid. I'd like to see more from them on this.
Maybe we could go back and do some prequel stuff with Dracula in the early 300 or 400 years. I'd be quite okay with that.
That's going to wrap it up for Let's Go Camping. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. Stick around.
I'll be right back. Don't get dressed.
Oh, fantastic. Holy.
Wondershare Filmora is a user-friendly, easy-to-use video editing software which contains hundreds of special effects for video that allows you to easily create a unique visual effect. Head to www.wondershare.net and get started editing now.
The Death Curse Society has just become an associate producer on the film.
Yes.
Bravo. Bravo. Death Curse Society, guys, is so awesome. I met the guys, all 3 of the guys, at Indianapolis last year for Horror Hound. And I met those dudes, and I gotta tell you, I hung out with them, we took pictures, I signed some stuff, they gave me a t-shirt. It was awesome. They are awesome guys. So super cool. I am so glad to have them on board this campaign and also on board the film. And now they are going to be IMDb credited as producers on this movie.
Where'd you go, man? You're acting like really sketchy right now. I don't. What's up? Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I'm TV's Drew Scheid, and you're watching Death Curse Society.
Welcome back to Death Curse Society, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Now, it's time to get into all the shit. It's time for some stories around the campfire.
I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm going to give it to you straight about Jason.
Hey, come back!
So, 2020 is off to a start. That's all I can say. First up, we're going to talk about The Grudge. So, The Grudge is in theaters now.
Hold on a second, boys. Hold on a second. As you know, people, we've added a new wrinkle to the show that gives us an option to opt out of a said project, film, or something that is related to horror that we don't have to talk about.
Wait.
I'll be a fuck this shit, I'm out card, and I'm playing it right now. I don't want to talk about The Grudge. I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes.
Oh, hell no, I'm out of here.
First real show of the year, and he's already dropping card.
I still got one left.
Colonel, talk to us about The Grudge.
The funny thing is, you motherfuckers thought I'd be the one to play it. No, I'm not dumb enough to play it the first movie of the fucking year. I'm saving my shit because there's going to be a lot of duds that come out. The Grudge 2, I was expecting a bad movie, but it had Lin Shaye in it, so it gave me a little bit of hope that it might be okay. Wrong.
You were wrong, you were mistaken. Faces are in palms and heads are shaking. You tried your stupid best, you took a stupid guess. You were wrong, you were wrong, you were wrong.
It was fucking awful. I'd never cared for the fucking Japanese version. I never cared for the original American remake, and I sure as fuck don't care about this fucking remake. It's fucking awful. The Grudge movies are fucking stupid. If you like them, cool. Different strokes for different fucking folks. I, for one, can't stand them. I'm not a huge fan of J-horror or any adaptation of J-horror. And, shocker, guess what? They burnt down a fucking house. Here we go. Starting off 2020 with that shit. We ended 2019 that way, and we got to start it off 2020. Fucking give me a break, people. God damn, it's a new decade. Let's do something fucking new, right?
I'll bet you this review is more entertaining than the fucking movie was.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hope so, because that movie's boring as shit. I'm telling you. The only reason I'm not super irate is the fact that I earned enough fucking points to get a free movie ticket, and that's exactly what I spent on this shit, because they don't deserve a dime of my fucking money.
Well, I can't throw it to Zigzag, so I guess it's on me now. Yeah, shit. I'm not saying, oh shit, I'm saying it's shit. Why? How does this shit get through? How does someone read this script and say, oh yeah, this is what I want to see? How do executives do this? I don't get it. Why? Why are you fucking with us this way? It's pissing me off. I need a moment of zen for a second. Hold on. Sorry. Movies like this are the reason that horror dies every 10 to 15 years. We were supposed to get a fucking Friday the 13th movie, what, 10 years ago? 12 years ago? Rings comes out and fucked it all up. It didn't happen because of that movie. They stopped production on Friday the 13th sequel because of the profit and the lack of attention to the Rings got. This is that kind of movie. The Grudge is that fucking bad. When I was leaving the theater, there were people going into the theater, and I said, are you going to see The Grudge? And they said, yeah. I was like, don't. I stood in front. I was like, no.
Shall not pass!
Don't. I was like, seriously, please, for the love of God, go get him a different ticket and go watch something else. I didn't let him in. I was like, fuck, no. I stood there for like 5 minutes just keeping people out. I was like, there's no way you're going. I don't want anybody to see this. It sucks.
You know, I mean, I'm not even want to say anything about this because I played the card, but I mean, this is the problem with Hollywood doing this with these titles. It's properties they own, things they can make on the cheap, and just rake in a tax write-offable amount where it's worth it to them, not caring that they're shitting on the entire horror community. That's why I'm playing the fucking card, man.
The most fucked up part about what you said there, Zag, it's supposed to be up Friday, but I went to the first showing on fucking Thursday. Sold the fuck out. People in every fucking seat. It wasn't even like that when I went to the early screening for Us or any other horror films this year. But The Grudge sold the fuck out.
Colonel, let's try to find a bright spot in this, though. I don't want this to be just completely negative, if we can avoid it. Lin Shaye, it's always good to see her, for one. I didn't hate her performance. It wasn't great, but I didn't hate it. What did you think? Can you find a bright spot in the movie?
Yeah, so she did a great job with the part she was given. It's Lin Shaye. She's a fucking professional. I'd expect nonetheless. The one bright spot for me was seeing William fucking Sadler, okay? I was fucking pumped. I loved him in, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, Shawshank Redemption. I liked him in this Tales from the Crypt episode. Grim Reaper from fucking Bill and Ted. But yeah, that literally was the one of two bright spots for me, because you're right, Lin Shaye did do a hell of a job.
Yeah, I can't even, kiss your card. Kiss my ass. Kiss his ass. Happy Hanukkah.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's rate it. Let's get this fucking over with.
Let's give it to them.
The Grudge was a drudge. I give you a 3.
I give you a 1. Suck a dick. Let's.
And I gave you the fingers because I didn't go. Woo!
It's part of the show now, guys. The fuck this shit I'm out card. One's already been used. I didn't say who I thought was going to use it. I just had a feeling that one would be used, although I didn't think it would be you, Colonel. I'll admit it. I'll admit it.
It may have been, but I kind of put the call out right away.
Yeah.
I was not going.
Well, as soon as Colonel saw it and then started talking to you privately about it, you were like, and then I jump in and you're like, by the way, fuck this shit, I'm out. Next up on Stories Around the Campfire, new on video on demand, Apparition is out now. You can check it out. Ziggy, you want to talk about Apparition?
Hold everything, boys.
Shut your cocksucker. We all know that you can't say fuck this shit, I'm out twice in a row. It's like football. You can only call it one time at a time, not back to back. Put your fucking card up. Yeah, can't do back to back.
This is bullshit, man.
I didn't make the rules. I just fucking go by them, okay?
Ziggy, talk to us about Apparition, dick.
Yeah, man. I actually saw this movie, and I use that term loosely. I get it. You got a couple of big stars, and you blew your whole budget on their salaries. I get it. But this movie, the concept is cool. An app that connects with real spirits from your past. Or so they think. And that's as cool as it gets, man. Just the idea of this movie. That's it. It should have went no further. Kevin Pollak, you can dot the I's and the lowercase J's all you want. Didn't help this motherfucker, man. This shit is brutal. Mina Suvari, although kind of cute still. And, you know, it seems like she's going to have a nice supporting role in there. And, yeah, she sucks. She's awful in it, too. Yeah, it's not good. It's just... It's so bad. The acting, and there's a kid in this movie. This kid may give a run for bad acting to the kid in Maximum Overdrive with the red hat, man. Yes, Colonel, yes. It's that bad. Bullshit. It's so bad. Nothing, Morse code couldn't save it. Nothing, man. This movie. It should have never been made. It's so bad. I was struggling to stay. It was hard to stay locked into it. I had to force myself to fit 82 minutes, and I couldn't get locked into this fucking thing. It's that bad. It's so bad. It's the Skull's Light. It's just terrible. There's no horror in this. It's not scary. It's not disturbing. It's not traumatizing. It's just bad. It's bad acting. It's bad acting. It's bad acting.
I'm sorry. I'm crying up here because of Colonel's impersonation, but that was great. Colonel, what did you think of Apparition?
Like the bad acting kid said, this is bullshit. Because that movie was fucking bullshit. 10 minutes into this fucking movie, I wish I was a fucking apparition. I could just disappear and skip all that nonsense. One bright spot, the concept was a cool concept. Look, the rest of it's fucking shit. Stiff acting, no character development whatsoever, predictable as shit. Shit just happened to fucking happen. Like, there's no redeeming quality to this fucking movie.
Do yourself a favor and play your fuck this shit I'm out card. Don't rent this. Don't buy it. Let's discourage this people that made this movie from ever trying again, because you're going to just be upset and wholeheartedly disappointed.
Like these guys have both said, I thought the concept was a good idea. This is just a poorly executed version of it. Yes, these guys are right. The acting in this is so bad. I've seen middle school productions that have better acting than this did.
Okay, so sir, you want to fudge with me? You're fudge the best. Wanna play with? Say hello to my little friend. Take that, you cockroaches.
Kevin Pollak, I adore him. He's a funny guy. He's not a bad actor. He phoned this in. He must have needed like a new car. He needed something. He needed a paycheck real quick to show up for like 2 days of work, and that was it.
Or it was a favor for somebody, you know.
Maybe.
What I mean?
Mina Suvari, same thing. Normally she's pretty good. I really enjoyed her, obviously, in American Pie. I loved her in American Beauty. I thought she was brilliant in that. Again, it seems like she just phoned it in a little bit. And the rest of the people, the rest of the cast, terrible. The guy that was supposed to be the comic relief or whatever, forced, horrible, just bad time, terrible timing. Comedy is all about timing. The lead actress, I will admit, wasn't that bad. She was probably the highlight out of this group. She was the highlight of the group. I see your look, Colonel. I'm not saying she was great. I'm not saying she was even good, but she was better than the rest. Now, the synopsis is one of the characters has created this app that if you press your thumb to a phone, it will direct you to kind of contact a spirit that has something to tell you. Again, interesting concept, kind of similar to Countdown, which came out last year in a way. The app could predict when you died. I like the idea, and they could have played with that a lot more. Basically, they only use it twice, and one kind of works out in somebody's favor, and then the other one kind of does, I guess, in the long run, but
just starts going here and there and there, and then this guy's dead already, and you're like, what happened? You know, it's just terrible, man. You can do better than that.
You can definitely do better than that.
And here's the fucked up part. This is how bad they fucked it up. Everybody in horror is a fan of ghost stories. We all are. If you die, you come back as a ghost, shouldn't you be back in what you died in? I mean, you sure you should change back to the original outfit you had during the day? Because I'm sorry, you got killed in a fucking nightgown, honey. Why are you back wearing fucking pants and a fucking collared shirt?
I agree. I would have much rather seen Mina Suvari in a nightgown rather than that fucking like school marm outfit or whatever she was wearing. Whew, phoned it in. Rough to watch. Ziggy, give it a rating.
There ain't much to appreciate about any of it. Even it's shot, it's dark, it's too dark at times, you know? I mean, there's no atmosphere to it, man. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 1.
You went top to bottom scale-wise, man. Colonel.
Did not play to any fucking suspense at all. It was just fucking annoying. This movie is so much worse than the fucking Grudge. I had to put the Grudge up to a 3 to make this a fucking 1, just to justify how bad Apparition was.
Damn. All right. Well, this one I'm giving a 3. I didn't think it was as bad as the Grudge. There were a few things that I could see as redeeming qualities out of it. I would avoid it if I were you out there in the world. If you have an extra few bucks to spend and are bored and you want to rag on it like we do, give it a watch.
I will give it 1. Even after my score, I'm going to give it 1 bright side to it, okay? Did not end in a fire.
Very true.
The highlight for me was the fact that it was only 82 minutes long.
Apparition, ladies and gentlemen, it's on video on demand right now. Look it up if you feel like it, but don't do it. All right, next up on Stories Around the Campfire, we got a ton of trailers to look at. First up, the New Mutants coming out April 3rd. Check it out.
What's the last thing you remember, Danny?
He said we had to run.
The reason you survived is because you're a very uncommon girl. You're not alone. Not anymore. Do you know what mutants are? Would anyone like to share their first time? Rain?
I was 13. I thought it was a dream. I just lost control.
Sam?
I started panicking. People got hurt.
Roberto?
My girlfriend had a partner.
Ileana?
I killed 18 men, one by one. This isn't a hospital, it's a cage.
It's important we find out your power so we can help you get better.
I saw something I don't think she wanted me to see. I don't think we're here to get better.
This place takes your greatest fear and makes you live through it until it kills you.
Who's there?
We can get out of this together.
So that's a trailer for the New Mutants coming to theaters April 3rd. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge comic book geek. I don't really follow a lot of this stuff as thoroughly as some of you do. But I do like some of the X-Men movies and things like that. the fact that they're throwing a little bit of horror in here interests me a little bit. The trailer doesn't look too bad. I like the fact that they've got it kind of set up like it's not a hospital, it's more of a prison kind of deal. And the students that are there, or the mutants that are there, are finding out along the way that they have been tricked to come there, it seems like, to contain their abilities and maybe research on them, find out what they can do, what they can't do, and how to use that for the X-Men or some other group that's controlling this. Colonel, what are your thoughts on the New Mutants?
Yeah, it looks interesting. It's a fresh take on the X-Men universe that we haven't seen so far in film. Key thing I noticed was Hugh Jackman wasn't there, so no Wolverine that we're aware of. I'm a little disappointed in that because Wolverine is my favorite comic book character. But overall, hey, I'll give it a shot. They can't get any worse. I mean, the last couple X-Men movies have been straight trash.
This just looks like Professor Xavier's School of the Gifted with a closed campus, you know what I mean, and where they're at and stuff. This may be the way they introduce the new X-Men into the Marvel Universe, because they, technically haven't really been there yet, since the merger with Disney and everything. So they're going to relaunch that whole thing. Maybe this is how they do it, but I appreciate a dark horror aspect to it. I mean, it looks like just a smidge, not much to it, but hey, it could be a cool little movie. We'll see. We'll give it a chance. And then, believe us, if it's no good, we'll shit all over it as we do.
Yeah, Zach, I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, the first couple of scenes where they're setting up, the kids and their abilities in the trailer, does kind of remind you of like the Breakfast Club version of, of the X-Men. It's like the detention kids, the bad kids.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not give up too much hope on a Hugh Jackman cameo, potentially, or something, I think there's going to be some kind of connection to the larger universe in some way. I just don't know how they're going to do it yet.
That's what's going on. X-Men is coming to Disney's Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. It's been announced already, but they haven't even cast him yet. We don't know who it is. So, who knows? Maybe we'll see some glimpses of that in this movie. So it makes sense to me to do that, with this.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, but not going to happen. This is definitely a Fox thing, but they're like, well, put it out, let's get some money, and we'll reboot it into the MCU. Come on, the MCU's too kid-friendly for this, man.
The final shot of the trailer, though, is that Storm coming in?
Yeah, I was curious about that. They call some girl, Rain or something like that?
There are some mutants that share the same types of abilities, so it's hard to say,
Could be interesting. If you guys are into the X-Men series, check it out. New Mutants drops in theaters April 3rd. Next up, another trailer for you guys to look at, A Quiet Place 2, coming out March 20th. Shh, check it out.
What is going on? It's okay, baby. It's okay. Mom? Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. We're okay. We're okay. That's Dad. Okay. That's Dad. Dad. Where? Mom. Oh my God. It's okay.
I came all the way up here.
There's nothing left.
Please. There are people out there worth saving.
You don't know, do you? I do.
All right, so A Quiet Place 2 coming out No, you can listen now, Zag. Zag!
What?
Zag! You can listen now. It's all right. It's all right. It's safe. In theaters March 20th. Colonel, talk to us about Quiet Place 2.
Okay, it looks pretty much like the original film, but just a prequel.
Oh, what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Shh. It looks like the exact same thing as the first film, but in a big prequel version. It looks interesting. I don't want them to hear.
Well, there's Colonel's reimagination of the Quiet Place. Excellent. Yeah, it does. It looks like a prequel this time. It looks like the family is trying to find John Krasinski's character, the dad, and they haven't quite found him yet. They spot him at one point in the trailer. You get a lot more glimpses of the creature in the trailer than you did in the entire movie, of the original movie.
Exactly that. I mean, those things look nasty. I mean, and you get a pretty damn good look at him, one coming down the side of a building, you know, and it's like a fucking log with claws on either end of it, you know. It looks good. I mean, it looks like another edge of your seat, hold your breath, shh, be quiet kind of movie, you know, and you'll get into it. You buy into these kind of things. We jokingly call it Bird Box for the ears. We'll definitely check it out. It looks like a quality made, well shot film again.
Movies like this have a different kind of filmmaking style to them than a lot of like regular horror movies. This one depends so much on the sound design and the way it's shot. Most horror movies do to an extent. These kind of films really like draw you in just by the lack of noise, or you know, you might hear grass rustling for 5 minutes in an entire scene, and that's it. And it's things like that, and if they can pull it off and it sounds good and it looks good on screen, I'm all in.
Man, that's the thing too. When these assholes start making noise, you want to run through the screen and body slam them to shut them the fuck up. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. It's the tension is just shattered. It's always some stupid, like a kid singing or something, or playing with a cell phone or something, you know, and you're just like, oh shit!
Kid had the police car or something in one, and it went off or something.
And you just want to, reach in and stop them.
I don't know if you guys even thought about this. What's the one thing you can't do in fucking silence? Take a shit.
I'm not that.
You can't put a silencer on your asshole, man. I'm telling you.
I'm not that loud when I shit.
So you're telling me you never built up. You got the bubble guts.
Okay.
Joni, was that you?
Can't hold it.
Occasionally, yes.
Yeah, so you're telling me for years you're going to go without a bubble gut shit.
Well, it also depends on what kind of food's still available in this post-daddy long legs, oversized grasshopper eating world that they're living in now.
Shit full of fucking fiber, I tell you that. Eating fucking wheat and shit. Like,
diet is adjusted to, you know, this is factored in by this point. They know. Maybe not in this prequel movie.
I need answers.
That's the Colonel asking the questions that nobody wants to hear.
The hard-hitting questions that they're afraid to answer. The people want to know.
But here's the thing. Watch the movie come out, and 30 minutes of the movie is dedicated to, all right, now kids, remember how you're supposed to take a shit. You don't.
And I will be satisfied. I'm like, yes, an explanation. Thank you.
At the end of it, they'll burn the house down, and Colonel will be pissed off, and everything will be fine.
If somebody gets taken out on a shitter in this movie, I'll send you $100.
I'll remember that.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 45 minutes. Somebody open the window.
Alrighty, guys, that's Quiet Place 2 coming out in theaters March 20th, so check it out. All right, next up, something a little sooner, coming out later this month, January 31st, Gretel and Hansel. A little twist on the grim fairy tale. Check it out.
Tell me the fairy tale again.
It's too scary, and you'll start seeing things that aren't there.
You've been turned out of your home. Set out to fend for yourselves with only your clothes and your hides.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungrier than you are.
Because you're a pig.
Look! It smells of cake!
careful with that, dear. I'd hate for you to start something you can't stop.
Pleased to make your acquaintance. I'm called Gretel, and this rough one here is my brother Hansel.
Ouch!
There's something wrong here.
But it's so pleasant.
Where are all the animals? From where does she draw milk?
Gretel, there's a storm coming. This is your power. To see what is hidden and to take it. We were given the same gift, the same magic.
Brother! What did you do with him?
All that is left is to make him. Delicious.
So that's Gretel and Hansel coming out January 31st. Ziggy, what are your thoughts on this?
I appreciate these retellings of the grim fairy tales in this manner, a little scarier, a little more twisted. So I think this will be pretty good. If it holds up to any of the other things they've done, you know, like this, with this dark style, much like that TV show that was on a few years ago,
right?
This should be pretty decent.
I think the show you're talking about, Grimm?
Grimm.
I enjoyed Grimm when it was on. I thought it was pretty good for at least a few seasons, but
those were darker, scarier monsters and, you know, people getting ripped up and everything. It was cool.
I think there's a point of nostalgia that comes out whenever, you know, they do stuff like this, which I appreciate, of course. Because thinking Gretel and Hansel, you always remember, you know, the little bedtime story, basically, that you got when you were a kid. Now that we're adults, we can appreciate a more adult tale, a more frightening tale, a darker tale, a little bit more involved storytelling with it as well, which is what I'm looking forward to with this.
Yeah, American Gretel and the German Hansel looks interesting. The first time I seen this trailer, I was really pumped for it. Now that I've watched it a couple times, I've kind of lost a little bit of interest. It's still the most promising first quarter 2020 release for me as far as horror films go. It's either going to be good or it's going to be shit. I don't think this one's any in between. I don't think I'll walk out saying, this is okay.
I expect it to be a little bit slightly above average, and that's where I see it landing in my scope. I don't know why. There are a couple of things in the trailer that I really enjoy. I think the woman who plays the witch just exudes this weird creepiness and twistedness you're unsure of when you first see her. I like the relationship between the kids. I think the kids kind of react. Even in the 2-minute trailer, they kind of play off each other really well. You know, the whole snorting like pig thing was cute. And then the fact that the witch plays off of that later on in the trailer, I like those little bits of storytelling, the way they piece those little things together.
A bit off-putting when she pulls that lock of hair, that big old long strand of clump of hair out of her mouth. So yeah, looks up quite a bit darker. Bring it on.
So Gretel and Hansel coming out January 31st, right around the corner. Get ready, folks, and take some snacks. Next up on Stories Around the Campfire, a little indie movie to tell you about, coming to video on demand February 14th. Camp Coldbrook. Check this out.
Look, Jack, it's been a great run. 3 seasons in TV is saying something nowadays. Reality TV just doesn't have the legs right now.
We're on the cusp of something really big. We're about to shoot it now.
What is it?
We produce one ball-busting, scare the living out of our audience episode.
I say we do Winchester House.
No way. Place is lame.
What the hell is wrong with you? This is it. We are all out on our asses if we don't come up with something big.
I have one.
It's a camp. It's called Coldbrook.
So the official police report is apparently this woman, she went into the camp one night and she poisoned and drowned everybody.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
That place is marked. What do you mean by marked?
Haven't seen one ghost, but hey, it's been out.
Right.
Cheers.
Everybody around here seems to think it's best just left in the past.
All right, folks, let's do this. We got a lot to do. Let's get her done. Let's make this home base.
You got no cell phone service up here, so once we're gone, you're on your own.
We're in trouble now.
We may have something.
Oh my God.
This is all just hysteria and superstition.
You know what we did.
We can't just leave.
You need to listen to me, okay? It's not worth it. I say we burn the damn place down and we walk out together.
I got too much riding on this. We all do.
So that's Camp Coldbrook coming to video on demand February 14th, Valentine's Day. I can't think of a better way to spend my Valentine's Day than catching up with Danielle Harris. So Camp Coldbrook seems to tell the tale of a ghost hunting crew that looks like their show's getting canceled. And in one last desperate attempt to salvage his career, the director and producer tries to find one last tale to tell, and they decide to go to Camp Coldbrook, which seems to be a former summer camp with a history. Sounds familiar. They go there, and weird shit starts happening. But it also seems like there are some older folks that have been around in the area for a while that know the real story, may have even had something to do with what happened at Camp Coldbrook back in the day. So there may be some human interaction there to go along with some ghostly encounters. It looks very indie, though, I will say that much. Just some of the shots and things that I saw in the trailer. Colonel, jump in on here. What do you think?
So, this film's been making some rounds on the film festival circuit for a couple of years, actually winning some awards at some of these film festivals. So I've known about it for a little bit, and it's nice to find that we're finally getting a national release, albeit video on demand, but hey, I'll take it. Hopefully it's better than what it looks. I'm kind of crank on this one. It's kind of been there, done that. Real low budget, which usually doesn't bother me too much as long as it's an entertaining story. It looks like it will be entertaining, just, I don't know, the special effects leave a little bit to be desired if you catch my drift. That ghost was a little rough looking.
Yeah, and you're right. It has been making the circuit on independent horror film festivals. I believe it won top prize at 2018's Horror Hound Festival up in Cincinnati, so...
Yeah, you're right about that. This camp does indeed look familiar. A little summer camp out in the woods. That flag on that building, real familiar. You might even say...
No.
Whoa. No.
It's got a death curse.
Continue.
All right, indeed. Looks more like we have, ghost adventures in a camp. I would even say they're looking like they're going to set up some of the events to make sure they get some sensational shots to keep this going. Right. So I like that angle. I do like that because I've been calling these shows out like this shit for years. You're right. The locals have something going here. They see that there's something real here, and hopefully it's better than what we saw. If that's the ghost... Oh boy.
Just a flash.
Okay, I'm saying we got to give it a stay in court. Maybe they're smart. I mean, a novel idea. They held out all the good scenes for the actual movie instead of giving it in the fucking trailer. Great seeing Danielle Harris. Great seeing Courtney Gaines. And it looked like a couple more familiar faces in there. Everybody looked competent in the trailer. I didn't see any vacant 1,000-yard stares when they're trying to act or recall their fucking lines. So we're off to a good start. I'm in. Let's go see this. And as we do, you know this, man. We're going to get back to you on it and give you the straight dope.
And one little added bonus that makes it a little bit more interesting for me. Camp Coldbrook was filmed right in my home state of Oklahoma, literally just like 30, 40 minutes away from me. So that's Camp Coldbrook, available on video on demand February 14th. See you soon, Danielle.
Please send restraining orders to Red Crank, courtesy of Death Curse Society.
It's not that bad yet.
All right.
Yet.
I'm watching.
All right, just keep your dick in your pants.
We don't want to walk into Horror Hound and Danielle goes, I fuck this shit, I'm out.
That would infer that I'm wearing pants now.
Well, that's a mystery I don't want to solve.
Please, camera.
Something's better than off not knowing.
If anything holy could happen, please, camera, do not pan down. Okay.
I'd fuck me. Wanna fuck me?
No.
Next topic. All right, next up on Stories Around the Campfire, Blumhouse is in talks to reboot Firestarter. And I know Colonel cannot wait to talk about this.
Hey, Tucker, would you shut that fucking music off?
Oh. Yeah, my bad. Tuck? Never mind. Colonel, jump in on that.
Okay, listen here, fucking Tucker Carlson. Of course, Blumhouse wants to get their hands on fucking Firestarter so they can burn the fucking house down. Fuck you. I don't want to see it.
Finally, a movie that involves fire and inevitably will have a house burning. There's no way around it. Place your bets. Will there be a house burning in the Firestarter remake from Blumhouse?
And you fucking know there will be. Fuck, now it's just obvious. They're not even trying to hide the fact anymore.
They're cherry picking now, man.
Yeah.
Having said that, this story could be retold very well, I think. Drew Barrymore did a great job on it, but let's face it, it's a bit dated now. They could update things. I think this could be one of the better Stephen King readaptions that we've seen. It's Blumhouse. I mean, we're holding on to the final shreds of their dignity and credibility here with this, but please. I mean, how can we get around it? It's Firestarter. They're going to start a fire in a fucking building, man. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So this is number 17 for them with a burning building at the end, hopefully.
Woo! More than likely. Blumhouse and Universal Pictures have tapped Keith Thomas to direct this. He did The Vigil not too long ago.
Was there any fires in that?
I would imagine so. That's probably what got Blumhouse's attention.
Oh, for God's sake.
I think this is definitely a Stephen King story that's due for an adaptation, like a new adaptation. There are definite ways that I could see them changing the story just a little bit to fit modern times, and I'm interested to see how they make that work. Colonel, it looks like you have something else to say, or you're trying to take a shit without making too much noise. I can't.
No, man, he's got that face again from that fucking movie we watched, the Apparition kid face. It is. He's got something to say here, folks.
This is bullshit.
It's too soon to be reminded of that fucking little bastard.
As of now, we really don't have a whole lot of news to tell you about Firestarter. We're expecting it to go into production sometime this year, maybe be released this year, knowing how Blumhouse likes to just throw their movies together. More than likely, though, next year.
They got time to burn.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, I fucking hate you, Zach.
What? What'd I say?
Let's move on. Finally, on Stories Around the Campfire, we want to talk a little bit about Child's Play coming to television. It is now officially official. So from the mind of the original creator, Don Mancini, Child's Play is coming to the SyFy channel, possibly sometime later in 2020. Production starts pretty soon. This is not going to have nothing to do with the recent MGM remake in 2019 featuring Mark Hamill. Brad Dourif is supposed to reprise his role as the voice of Chucky. One of the things that makes this a little bit different than, say, the Friday the 13th legal battle that they're going through, the rights are a little bit differently held when it comes to Child's Play and Chucky. MGM holds the original rights to the original movie, while Don Mancini still has the continued rights to continue the story, which is why he's done 7 sequels since then. This one doesn't seem to necessarily fall right in line with the film series the way it's gone, though, so far. The TV series seems like it's going to be called Chucky, and according to the plot synopsis that was revealed last week, the show is kicked off by the arrival of Chucky in a small, quiet town, which is, of course, followed by a series of brutal murders. Along the way, the various secrets of the town's residents begin to be exposed, and notable figures from Chucky's past arrive to further complicate things. Charles Lee Ray's mysterious childhood will also be delved into. Doesn't seem to pick up after Cult of Chucky at all. It seems to almost be a whole new story. Don Mancini originally said he wanted to do 8 episodes of a series, so I believe that's probably where they're sticking with as of now. Ziggy, what are your thoughts on Chucky coming to the small screen?
This is the other participant in the pissing contest between the Child's Play franchise. Yeah, but here's the original owner, and now we got Brad Dourif back. I'm excited as hell to hear about the past history of Charles Lee Ray and his childhood and what made him a fucked up satanic cult killer like that. I can't wait. A little, hesitant to hear about visitations from past Chucky characters. Andy would be good. Chris Sarandon, excellent, would be great. I don't want to see any of the ones from the last couple of movies. Fuck all them. And that's probably where they're going to get the spades from, most of them.
I imagine Fiona Dorff is going to be involved in some way, shape, or form. I mean, just because Mancini and Dorff's friendship has endured for so long. I mean, Brad Dourif could have gone on and had a blockbuster career as an actor if he wanted to. But he kept coming back and doing these Child's Play movies for Don all the time. Brad Dourif's a hell of an actor. A lot of people just don't grasp onto him. I mean, yeah, first time I saw him, he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, just a stellar role. And then he does a Child's Play movie, and then people start not taking him as seriously. But he could have pushed forward and done more. He's stuck with Don because Don's a good guy.
In recent years, I mean, the last 20 years, I mean, hell, he's Wormtongue in the Lord of the Rings blockbuster epic series. Sheriff Brackett in Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween. He was great. He actually gave some, another perspective to it that Charles Cypers, we love him as the original, but man, he was good. Brad Dourif was great in the remake. The guy doesn't get enough credit. Thank God he's a horror fan and keeps coming back to this. Yes, iconic. Does he stand with our big four? Not necessarily, but he's definitely second tier, Chucky. I have faith that this series, in the hands that it's in, the original creators and a lot of the stars from the past, I'm sure he's going to put a team together that's going to give it the respect and love it deserves. Hey, it's Child's Play on the free TV. You can't beat that with a stick.
Colonel, your thoughts on Chucky? I know you're not a huge Chucky fan, but...
Yeah, I'm just glad that it's finally official. I think SyFy Network is the perfect network for this show. Let's be real here. They've been really pushing your second, third tier horror movies here over the past couple of years. Come to mind, it's a terrible fucking movie, Jeepers Creepers 3. Yep. And that premiered on SyFy before it even hit fucking theaters. It's nice that the originals getting back together. Granted, they've been together the entire fucking time. But what scares me is how bad the movies got after part 3. Like, they just got dumber and dumber and dumber. But hey, people eat this shit up. People want to see it. Fuck, I want to see it. Not like you said, Crank. I'm not really a fan of Chucky. He's like a third-tier horror villain for me. The midget version of fucking Freddy Krueger. Full one-liners. I mean, granted, the one in the elevator and Child's Play, that's one ugly doll. Fuck you.
Ugly doll. Fuck you.
That was fucking classic. I mean, that's great. But hey, Child's Play, it's here. Hopefully, they're smart. It'll be out come October. Yeah, I'd like to see it sometime this year.
I'm guesstimating October for a release just because it's going to hit right around the time the SyFy is doing all the horror movies. I understand your dislike for the movies, especially after part 3. Shit started going downhill, story-wise at least, in my opinion, and obviously it sounds like Colonel's as well. According to this plot synopsis they released last week, it almost looks like they're just abandoning everything after part 3, possibly. There may be some touches thrown in, but they're not going to rely on that for the overall storytelling in this. And for something that's going to expand over 8-hour-long episodes, I'm guessing, I'm hoping not. Sounds like a fresh take on Chucky. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm not necessarily a huge Chucky fan, but I love the first 2. I think the first 2 are great. I think Brad Dourif, we've already talked about, is one of the underrated horror icons out there because he's just been around forever, and he started this role and he stuck with it all the way through. Like, everyone loves Robert Englund for being Freddy Krueger in the beginning and sticking with it through all of its bad entities as well, all the way till the end, except when they did that shit-ass remake. But that wasn't his decision. Brad Dourif is kind of like that in that respect. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the original creators, Don Mancini and Brad Dourif, can team up to do in 2020. Should be a lot of fun. When we get more news to tell you about Chucky coming to SyFy, we'll let you know, so stay tuned for that. And that's going to wrap up Stories Around the Campfire. We're going to wrap up the show real quick. Colonel, send them out for us.
Without Filmora by Wondershare, we couldn't bring to you this quality product. So by all means, go check it out. Get a subscription. Check it out. It's a great program.
You're on the internet. We're on the internet. www.deathcursesociety.com. That's your portal to all of it. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on the Twitter. And we're definitely on the YouTube. And we need you to get out there and hit that subscribe button. And we keep growing this monster. DeathCurseSociety.com, baby.
And if you want to support us a little bit more, you can always buy a t-shirt from us. We got 2 varieties right now. We got the original logo tee, And then also the special version, Death Has Come to Your Little Town, featuring Dr. Loomis from Halloween. Both of these t-shirts are only $20 each for sizes small through extra large. 2X to 5X is $25. That covers all the shipping and handling as well. Send your money to paypal.me/zigzagisDCS and tell him what size and your address. He'll get it right out to you. It's just that simple. Woo! Our next episode will be coming out January 30th. We're going to be talking about The Turning, which drops in theaters the week before. So, for the Colonel, for Zigzag, this is Red Crank saying DCS out, and we'll catch you next time. Woo! Stay cursed, baby.
What? I can't stop turning.
Oh, I get it now.
Almost made it through the whole episode without getting fired. That was weak. I'll cut that. Look, man. Oh, yeah. All right. Among with many of the others in this movie, they don't have it. There's no acting chops here. None. There's none. There's none. There's nothing.
Colonel's cracking me up, man. I can't help it.
Trying to sneak?
No, he's fucking doing the face the entire time you're talking about this kid.
Oh, that guy. I couldn't look at him because...
Wow. I was dying, man. I couldn't help it.
I was doing good until I saw Crank there, and I was like, man, if I look, I'm gone. So you know,
I pointed at him. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
I looked at fucking Crank. That's when I lost it.
Is that Uncle Mike?
No. Yes. Well, you know, his brother had the Widowmaker happened several years ago.
Oh.
You know? So he doesn't speak but above a whisper now, you know? So Colonel's over here whispering. He's like, who's that, Uncle Mike?
Sorry. All right.
What the fuck is that name? Hanson? Hansel, duh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you're right about that. I was waiting for it, you fucking asshole, fuckface. Now there's a Lifetime image that you're attached to now. Your shit tucked between your legs there, pie. Cutie pie, yeah. Glorious.
I'll throw the music in there, too.
Then do the dance again.
One of the things that makes this film and this series a little bit different than, say, like the Friday the 13th and the legal battle with it. What was that?
I had a cough. I was holding it in.
It's going to be more blooper reel than fucking actual show this time.